Hi guys, and welcome back to the channel. Today we are going to be doing a deep dive on General Anakin Skywalker and the clones of the 501st in Captain Rex and the 501st Troopers. This will be something that we're going to do for each box that comes out, and clearly if we'd have had this released as a box like Obi-Wan, Cody and the 212th, these guys would clearly be in the same box because they work together so wonderfully. So let's take a bit of a look at what we're going to see. So let's start looking off at General Anakin Skywalker, hero of the Clone Wars, of course. He is going to come in with 7 squad points to spend and bring with him 4 Force icons. And then General Anakin Skywalker. And he is, of course, a primary unit. So we'll flip him over. So he's got 1 active power, 2 reactive powers, and 1 identity power. So he's going to bring 4 force with him, as we said. So for the cost of 1 force, he can do a force jump. So each character unit may jump, which obviously is very cool because you use the short token, or a short movement tool. So you are going to be using this movement tool. And then he obviously can jump to any elevation, which is really cool. So he could go from directly on the floor to the 2nd story of a building, or could go just up to the next height elevation, which is quite nice. And obviously elevation is going to play a huge part in Shatterpoint, especially if you've got one of those objectives on the, maybe a 2nd story platform or building, to be able to get up there is really, really cool. We've then got his first reactive power, so I'm going to end this, which is going to cost 2 of his force. So after this unit makes a combat action, it may use this ability. 1 character in this unit may make an attack targeting one of the same enemy characters within range and line of sight. So we'll get on to the damage that he can put out in a bit, but it's one of the few ways that you can attack twice in the same activation that we've seen so far. So obviously a super powerful ability there. Reactive power deflect. So after a ranged attack, targeting this character or a character in this unit is resolved. This unit may use this ability if the roll contained 1 or more failures, which are this symbol here. The attacking unit suffers 2 damage. So it's great. It doesn't cost him anything. It's just a natural. If your opponent happens to roll a failure as part of their range attack, they're going to suffer 2 damage when they target Anakin, which is very powerful. And then his last identity one, this is where the fun begins. So when a character in this unit wounds an enemy primary or secondary unit, after the effect is resolved, move the struggle token 1 space towards your momentum tokens. Then, if the wounded unit is a primary unit, each allied Galactic Republic character may heal. So heal looks like it's going to be really big in the game because you can either remove 1 damage from one of your characters or one of your conditions. And if you've watched the Learn to Play, which hopefully will be fully out by the time that these come out, you'll see that those conditions can really be damaging and really detrimental to people. And then he's got 501st, Force User, Galactic Republic and Jedi as his tags, with 11 damage threshold and 3 wound threshold. Quite a tanky character. Definitely the guy who's going to be putting out all of the damage for you. Because we then move on to his stance card. So 2 different stance, or 2 opposite stances, because he's a primary character. 1 definitely a bit more defensive and 1 a bit more offensive based. So if we go with his offensive stuff, because this is what you want to be running around with Anakin doing. So he's going to be rolling 8 dice on his melee attacks, which conveniently is just the number you get in the core set. And then, but only 5 dice for defense from both range attacks and from melee attacks as well. We've got his expertise of 1 additional crit. 2 to 3 is going to give you 2 crits, and over 4 is going to give you an extra 3 crits. And obviously crits are awesome because they can't be blocked by anyone. And his defensive expertise is going to do 1 block and then turn 1 crit into a normal hit, and then over 3, and he's going to be doing 2 blocks and turning a crit into a normal hit. So we can see here that he can put out some massive damage. So his first success is going to be doing 3 damage. Second success is another 2 damage. Third success is 2 damage, and the strained condition. I think strained is going to be really powerful because it is after a unit, when that character moves, attacks, uses an action or an active or reactive ability. So basically, if they don't do something except heal as their first action, they then will take an instant 3 damage. So that there potentially is 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, potentially just from the first 3. And then we get to success number 4, and that's when we can make our first choice. So it's 1 damage either way. And if we go to the top, we're then doing a jump. And if we go to the bottom, we're giving out the pinned condition. So the pinned condition is going to stop them from moving, stick them in the same place. Or we might want to get to the next elevation or move on a bit further. And then we're going to jump after that. If we do get to 5 successes, we're going to do 1 damage. And then he's going to be able to perform a dash. And if we do get to the wonderful sixth success even, we can then do another damage and also a reposition. So, hypothetically, if you got 4 successes, let's just say that's 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, at least 8 damage that you're going to be putting out. And when you're rolling 8 dice, let's just roll 8 with him and see what we would potentially get. So, conveniently 8. So that's actually not great. We've got quite a few failures in there. So we've got 2 expertise, 1 crit, 2 hits, and amazingly 3 failures. So obviously the expertise would then add another crit to it. Sorry, it's 2 expertise, isn't it? So we'd add another 2 crits to it. So we'd be doing 5 successes, but 3 of them are unblockable. So let's just say you were going to fight against... Who shall we fight against? I'll just use Rex, because we're going to talk about Rex next. But Rex has got 5 defense dice. So let's just see what Rex would get. So hypothetically, Rex has got 5. So Rex would have 2 blocks, 2 fails, and an expertise, which would convert into another block. Or not convert, would add a block. So he would block 3 of Anakin's, which actually would only block those 2, because we can't stop crits. So Anakin is still going to be doing 3, which is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 damage straight up to Rex. Not quite enough to wound him, but is certainly close enough. So you can definitely see the absolute monster that Anakin could be on offense. And if we flip, and this is the side I'd consider to be slightly more defensive, we can see we get 7 dice on offense and then 6 dice for defense. And then we would convert expertise into just hits. So hit, 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 or crit, hit, hit. And then defensively, for 1, we'd be doing a block and converting a crit down to a hit. 2 to 3 is 2 blocks and a crit down to a hit. And then over 4 is an extra 3 blocks and then a crit down to a hit. And then his Form 5 Xian gives 2 different trees that he has to follow all the way. Whereas on this side, it was one consistent tree until you got an option, but then you went back to it. On this side, we are doing 2 damage and a shove. Still getting to used to some of the conditions. And then if you just really wanted to absolutely kick someone out of the way, you could come down to the bottom and do an extra 2 damage with another shove, extra damage and a shove, 2 damage and a jump, and then 1 damage and a disarm. Or if you were feeling a bit more, I need to do some healing, I need to get ready, you do. Go up to the top and you've got a heal, reposition and 2 damage, 2 heals, 2 damage and a shove. So definitely a bit more defensive on this side, a lot more healy than other people. If you're going to be attacking and wanting to deal out some serious damage, you're going to be on Form 5 Gemso. And if you combine that with I'm going to end this, you are potentially putting out a serious amount of damage to someone in 1 turn. So General Anakin Skywalker, hero of the Republic, hero of the Clone Wars, is an absolute monster. CT7567, Captain Rex. So, Captain Rex is coming with 4 point cost as a secondary unit, and we are going to move over. I do wonder maybe if one day we'll get like a primary Captain Rex or a primary Captain Cody or something with maybe like an Echo or a Fives as a secondary, and then some, like, you can just use 501st clones as the support, which I think would be awesome. But we'll go to this side. So 9 durability, I think, is the correct term for it. There are definitely some things that I'm not calling them the correct term. 9 stamina, there you go. 9 stamina and 2 durability. But I am deliberately trying to use the correct terms and not call them like wounds or stuff like that, because they don't talk about wounds at all. But 9 stamina, so 9 damage it can take before it gets wounded, and then 2 durability. And we've got the 501st, Clone Trooper, and Galactic Republic keywords. And then he's got 1 tactic ability. So you'll notice on his stance card, not his stance card, his order card, he has the little yellow circle with the cross in. That's just to remind you that he's got a tactic ability. So at the start of his activation, choose a character in this unit or another allied Galactic Republic character. That chosen unit may dash, and then also may gain a hunker token, which is very nice to try and get someone else into that slightly more key position, or if you think, my goodness, someone's going to absolutely get has found themselves in the middle of nowhere and they just need an extra defense dice, then that's pretty cool. And the nice thing is that's not limited to range, that's not limited to line of sight, that's just another allied Galactic Republic character. We've then got his first active ability, so defensive maneuver, so costs 1 force. So each character in this unit may dash. If any characters dash, this unit gains a hunker token. So he's going to dash, gain a hunker token, which is really cool. I'm always first kid. The first of his reactive abilities. So if the unit is not wounded after an allied Clone Trooper supporting unit within range 3 of this unit, so let's just grab range 3, just so you can see what that's kind of like. So range 3, which is that sort of length, makes a combat action. This unit may use this ability. 1 character in this unit may dash. If it does, it can make a 5 dice engaged attack or range attack targeting one of the same enemy characters within range and line of sight. So the clones start shooting someone, and then Rex is like, oh, I'll get in on that action as well. Also start shooting them, which is very nice. And then we've got Bring It On Clankers as his first innate ability. So after an allied Clone Trooper within 3 of this unit gains a hunker token, 1 character in that unit may heal. So very nice. So if you think that you're going to get a move on Soldier to move some Clone Troopers up a bit, they can then gain the hunker token from that. They'll then gain the heal off of Bring It On Clankers. And whilst this unit has 1 or more hunker tokens, characters in this unit have Steadfast. So Steadfast means that the first time a character would be shoved by an opponent during an attack, they don't. They just get to stay where they are. And if we looked at, we go back to Anakin's card really quickly. So on this side, he's got 1 shove, which is all the way down here. So you're not going to get shoved. And if he was attacking on this side, for example, this first shove wouldn't happen, but then the other ones would do after that. So that is Rex. Let's see what Rex can put out from a damage perspective. So Rex is going to be putting out 7 attack dice, either engaged in melee or at a ranged attack, and then is also going to be rolling 5 defense dice for either. His conversions for expertise, both exactly the same if he's using his DC 17 blaster pistols, either in as a ranged attack or as a melee attack. So 1 to 2 expertise is going to convert 2 hits, or he's going to produce another 2 hits. 3 to 4 is going to produce 2 crits, and 5 plus is going to produce 2 crits and 1 extra hit. And then his phase 2 clone armor gives him a little bit more defensively when he's rolling defensive expertise. So 1 to 2 will give him an additional block, and over 3 is another 2 blocks. But Rex is the first character we're going to look at that's got 2 different options where they can start their combat. So there's either the I'm definitely going to do a lot of damage Rex, or the let's be a little bit more tactical Rex. So if we are going to go and try and do damage, we've got 2 hits, a hit and an exposed. An exposed is an ability, is a condition. That means that characters can't use their defensive expertise results the next time they get attacked, which is awesome. If you get the tough, you're not going to be able to use any of them. And then we get one final a hit and a shove, and then a hit and a reposition as the last one. And then obviously, important to note that you can only get up to 5, so even if you get 6 successes, that last success is a bit of a no-go. And then finally, we've got the bottom half, which is the bit more tactical side. So a damage and a shove, 2 heals, a damage and a pinned, or the damage and a reposition. So at max, you're going to do 4 damage if you go down the bottom tree, whereas you can do 7 damage if you go along the top tree. So it's going to be really interesting to see how Rex gets used and how he works with Anakin Skywalker and anything else that comes out that talks about kind of clones specifically. But there are some real damage dealers. And then finally, we're on to the 501st clones. So I've got a points cost of 3. Don't contribute anything to the Force. And then they are supporting unit with 2 models in the unit. And unsurprisingly, they've got the least number of abilities to use. So they've got the 501st Clone Trooper, Galactic Republic, and Trooper tag. So the exact same as Rex, except Rex hasn't got the Trooper tag. So they have got an active ability, a reactive ability, and an innate ability. So let's have a look. So their active ability, defensive maneuvers, cost 1 force. Each character in the unit may dash. If any characters do dash, they gain a hunker token, which is quite nice. So then we get onto their reactive ability, coordinated fire, which my understanding of this means they need to take the strain token. When another character in an allied Galactic Republic unit makes an attack as part of a combat action before dice are rolled, the unit may use this ability. If the target character is within range 5 of the character, the target unit gains the strain condition. And then the innate ability, Brothers in Arms, while the unit has 1 or more hunker tokens, characters in the unit gain steadfast. So exactly the same as Rex. They are not going to be shoved by the first shove that comes to them. And then we've got the Clone Troopers stance card. So they are amazingly packing the same punch from a dice perspective at a range attack as Rex does. So they're 7 dice for offense and 5 dice for defense. But then they only have 5 dice for offense if they are in a melee, and 4 dice on defense. And then they've got their DC 15A blaster. So if it's a range attack, they're converting 1 to 3 expertise into 1 hit. And if they get 4 more, they're a crit. In melee, 1 expertise will give them 1 additional hit. And then defensively, 1 to 2 will give them an extra block. And 3 plus will give them an extra block. 2 blocks, so an extra block on that one. And then interestingly, here we've got 3 that you've got to do, and then 2 that are the optional ones. So you are going to be doing your first damage is going to pin the character down. We're then going to do 2 damage, and then you can make a decision. You can either give them the strain token, or you can shove them. And then depending on what you pick, then we're then going to do a heal, a reposition, and a damage finishing up with 2 damage. So definitely not going to be packing as much of a punch as some of your primary and secondary characters. But the option is there to be a bit more tactical. If you can give them a pin condition, a strain condition, anything like that could really hold a character down. So that is the 501st Clone Troopers Rex and General Anakin Skywalker all talked about. Let's bring him back. So definitely seems like a guy a squad that are going to pack a punch, be able to hold objectives, and they've got some really cool abilities that are going to keep them alive a bit longer, stop them from being pushed around places, and definitely taking a couple more tokens or anything like that. So, hope you've enjoyed the video. Thank you very much for watching, if you're still here. If you've got any questions, please feel free to drop them in the comments, and check out all my other Shatterpoint content, which hopefully by the time this is up, we'll be releasing a video a day to celebrate Shatterpoint being launched. Thanks for checking it out.